Good morning, everyone. I'm in the car again, and this is going to be a continuation of the other fit tips about macros. So in the last video, I was talking a lot about what macro counting is and the benefits of doing it, and the way the macro way of eating and what exactly it is and all that. So I thought this time I would talk about how you actually go about doing that. So the first thing I would do is to get a food scale, obviously, and just kind of, you can do a food scale or you can try to measure it in a measuring cup and guess or whatever, but just write down the things, everything that you've been eating for like 3, 4, 5 days. Even if it's like you had I don't know, an M&M's, a little pack of M&M's, some coffee creamer, some ketchup, all that stuff that has a lot of sugar, it adds up in the calorie area and the carbs. So that, and then of course your main foods and all the things you drink, everything that you put into your mouth, and you'll be surprised. But if you're honest with it, you'll be surprised at what you do get in and what you don't get in. But that would be the first thing I would do. Once you do that, you can see areas that you need to improve and stuff. But the main thing I was going to talk about is, how do you know how much of each thing to eat? So basically everyone is different, and it's very tailored to your activity level, and which is kind of hard to judge as well. Some people are way more active than they think, and other people are not near as active as they think, even though you may go to the gym and someone else may not. What you do the rest of the day matters a whole lot too. So that's one of the things I really like about Fitbit, is that it gives you, obviously it gives you your exercise calories you burn and stuff, but really I like it for what it tells you about the rest of your day. Like if you're sitting at the computer all day, you're not going to be burning a lot, but if you're like going to the grocery store, chasing kids around at the park, you're going to burn a lot more calories than people that don't do those things. So anyway, I don't get paid by Fitbit or anything, I'm just saying I really like Fitbit. But it's good to know what you're actually burning in a day. But if you don't have a Fitbit, don't worry, you can still do this. So what you would do is just kind of start with some numbers, and then you're going to monitor your progress and go from there. So progress is not just the scale. Actually, I don't really like always care for the scale, but if you have weight to lose, you're overweight or obese, then the scale is going to guide you. Whereas if you're more, don't really have like a ton of weight to lose, just want to change the way you look, the scale is not going to really help you a whole lot, because muscle, if you start working out, things like that, muscle weighs differently than fat, and sometimes the scale just doesn't move even though you're losing fat, things like that. But for general purposes, the scale can guide you, and measuring inches on your body is a big guide too. But taking pictures is probably one of the best things you can do. I know nobody wants to take pictures of their body, but it really, really, really does help. It's hard to look in the mirror and see things, especially when they're small, like small changes. Like sometimes people like lose fat off of their neck, or they lose fat in their arms, the back of their arms, that they can't really see except if you take a picture. The fat can come off like underneath your butt or something, and you wouldn't really be able to see that unless you took a picture, or you just walk around holding the mirror under there. I don't know. But anyway, taking pictures can be humbling, but it also can be very helpful. So you're going to use those things to guide you. But basically you could start with, like, say I made an example on a paper so I could look at while I was talking, and I just made it with a 150-pound person just because that number was a fairly even type number for me to do. But you could do, like, if you weigh 150 pounds, you could start out with like 12 to 14 calories per pound. That would put you somewhere around 1,800 to 2,000 calories. A lot of people, girls, that I've helped do this with were actually very surprised that they undereat a lot of times. And then they would go out to eat. Obviously, if you go out to eat and do things like that, say on the weekends, or go to social things, you're going to eat a lot more calories than that. But for the general time of your life, like the week, and you work and stuff, or busy at home with kids, you just really forget to eat or get too busy to eat, and you don't eat that much. So this can be very scary for people that have not regularly eaten 17, 18, 1900 calories of, you know, fairly wholesome natural foods. It's going to be a lot of food. I can give you some people's names who can tell you that they've been there, they freaked out, they're like, this is a ton of food, I'm not going to be able to eat all this. But just do it, and it's going to work. You need to feed your body good food regularly for it to work. I mean, your body needs calories and food to burn fat, to lose the fat even. It's a metabolic process. Anyway, I'll get on that another day too. But anyways, you can start out, say like 1800 calories, and you would try to eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight that you are. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you would try to eat 150 grams of protein. Protein is 4 calories for every gram, so you're going to get 600 calories from your protein if you eat 150 grams of protein. And the carbs can be between the same thing, 150 to 200. And obviously, if you're like a long distance runner, or you do tons of CrossFit, different exercises, these things can be adjusted depending on how you feel. If some days you work out super hard and you feel really, really tired and weak, you might need to eat more carbs on those days, less carbs on the other days. That's a little bit more advanced way that you can tailor your macros. But just for starting out, I would just try and do that. Try to do 1 gram per pound of protein, do 1 to 1.5 grams per pound for the carbs. So that puts you at, say, like 150 to 200 carbs, and then the rest will come from fats. Carbs and protein are 4 calories for every gram, but fats are 9 calories for every gram. So some people say like, oh, well, this is kind of a low-fat diet, but I mean, it's a low-fat diet compared to the standard American diet, but it's not a low-fat diet, really. Most of the processed foods have tons of fat. So I think the recommendations, dietary recommendations, are to get 20 to 25% of calories from fat. So that would put you around 50 to 60-ish grams of fat. If you're new to this, that may be your hardest part. I personally like to eat lean meats most of the time, leaner cut meats, and then if I need fats, I use them to cook with, or I eat peanut butter, as previously discussed. But anyway, so back to our example. So if you're 150 pounds, you would start out somewhere around 1800 calories, and you would eat 150 grams of protein and 150 to 200 grams of carbs. Let's just say 200, and then you'd eat about 50 grams of fat, and that would get you pretty close to your macros, appropriate macros for starting. And then you would just monitor from there. If you do your initial food logging in the very beginning, and where you're seeing what you actually do eat in a day, and you find that, say, like during the work week or work day, or just your day home with kids or whatever, your regular day, you are used to eating only like 12 or 1300 calories, or you eat 1000 calories all day, and then you end up really hungry at night and you eat a lot more, then eating this food is going to be an increased volume for you. So initially you're going to freak out because your belly's going to feel really full and maybe look bloated. This will go away. This is normal. Every time you increase the volume of health, especially if you're going to start eating a bunch of fruits and vegetables and protein that you're not used to eating, your belly is going to feel full and bloated, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm getting fat, I can't do this. But just hang in there, it's going to be fine. After the initial time, say a week or two, you should start feeling better, and then you can tailor your increases or decreases from there. So if you find that you continue to gain weight and look really bloated and full, then maybe you're not doing enough activity. If you're not going to increase your activity, then you would go down on your foods. And that's the way you kind of tailor macros to your body and what you need. I just found over time, in the beginning when I started, I felt so full, and I couldn't even eat the 1,700 calories. I couldn't even eat that. I was coming from like a 1,300 calorie a day diet, and I had no idea I was eating that low. And it was good foods. I mean, I was eating paleo foods, natural foods, foods that I was cooking at my house for 80-90% of my diet. And when I started doing this, I was so full. But eventually it leveled out, and I actually started getting hungry for my foods. My body got used to being fed and was really liking the regular food volume and everything, so it went away. But I've since increased my foods even up to 2,700 calories every time I go up. I feel the same way. I'm going to talk about increasing calories, and that's actually called a reverse diet another time, but it's essentially what you're doing. If you're not used to eating 1,700 calories a day, then you're going to feel full and bloated. But that should help you get started. Do some measurements, take some pictures, write it down, and we'll go from there. So until next time, that I just got to the gym, so I'm going to go. But I'll talk more about these things next time, or if you have any questions, you can comment under the video and I'll try to answer you. Or you can find me at KLEFREREFIT on Instagram, KLEFREREFIT.com, or here on YouTube. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice day.